Good morning, student. How are you? I feel you are well and good, staying at your home in this situation and enjoying your virtual classes. So today, let us discuss about the second chapter of your textbook, that is First Flight. The first chapter has already been discussed, and the two chapters from the other book, that is Footprints Without Feet, these also have been discussed. So today we are going to discuss the second chapter of the First Flight, that is Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. Actually, Long Walk to Freedom is Nelson Mandela's autobiographical writing. So we are going to read the parts of this autobiography, and we know Nelson Mandela is one of the most renowned world leaders. Everybody knows he was born in 1918 and died in 2013. Now, in his autobiography, as the name suggests, that Long Walk to Freedom, he actually shared his experience, that how what he meant about freedom, how he and his ancestors they fought against this injustice that prevailed in South Africa, and how they got freedom finally in the year of 1994, and he was elected as the first black president of South Africa. So this excerpt from his autobiography will give us a vivid description of all these things. Now here, before we start this, we should know the meanings of few terms that have been used in this autobiographical writing for the better understanding of this text. Now, the chapter number 2, First Flight, that Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, and here full name is given Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. He was popularly known as Nelson Mandela. Now, as I told, that it's a long walk to freedom. Freedom means what from he got the freedom. Not only he, the black people. Actually, in South Africa, more than 3 centuries, that is more than 300 years, the white people, they used to rule over the black people. Not only rule, they used to dominate, they used to suppress the black people. And the black people of South Africa, for these long 3 centuries, they could not enjoy any type of rights, any means of freedom. Now, it is under the leadership of Nelson Mandela that the black people of South Africa, they were able to get back their freedom. In that story, we will read about this, that how they got back their freedom. And for this, Nelson Mandela had to spend 27 years behind the bars, means in the jail. Now here, before we start, as I told, that few terms, this will be very much required for us. One is apartheid, apartheid, apartheid. What is apartheid? It's a political system where that people actually get separated on the basis of the color of their skin. This is a racial discrimination or domination that used to prevail in South Africa. Now, that here apartheid, what is written in your textbook, that apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. Yes, and this actually here in his autobiography, Nelson Mandela will share his experience, and at first it will start with that experience that on that very day, that is on the 10th May 1994, on that day Nelson Mandela actually he was preparing to take his oath as the first black president of South Africa, that he actually discussed here in this chapter, and we will read about all these things. Now here, when this has been written, that in this extract from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela speaks about a historic occasion. Yes, historic occasion means that occasion of his oath-taking ceremony to be the first black president of South Africa, who actually suffered for long 3 centuries under the discrimination of the white people. The inauguration, that is inauguration. Now, can you guess what the occasion might be? As I'm telling you, the occasion is that oath-taking occasion where Mandela is going to take oath as the first black president of South Africa. Now, on that very day, that is on 1994, on 10th May, BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, they actually catered a news on that day. So what BBC's news were written, just let me read what the news over there. That Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. Remember, after long 3 centuries, that is 300 years, that black people, they got their freedom over the white people. Now this is the news that has been catered through BBC, that Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. Actually, it was not the rule, it was discrimination, it was torture. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress, in short ANC, African National Congress, this was Mandela's political party, owned 252 of the 400 seats in the first democratic elections of South Africa's history. After that 300 years after when that election, democratic election held in South Africa, ANC, that Africa's National Congress, headed by Nelson Mandela, this African National Congress, they got 252 seats out of 400. So they got the majority. The inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria today, attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. This is also interesting, that political leaders and dignitaries from more than 140 countries, they gathered on the soil of South Africa, and this is the first occasion ever for South Africa that so many national leaders and dignitaries from more than 140 countries, they gathered on their soil. Now this is also interesting that during that rule of the white people, many of this country, they detached any type of relationship with South Africa. Actually, South Africa was boycotted by most of the countries, but after winning of ANC, headed by Nelson Mandela, the dignitaries and political leaders from this country, they had come to witness this occasion, that is oath-taking ceremony of Nelson Mandela as the first black president of South Africa. Now, never, this is the speech, Mandela's speech that he started with, never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another. Now, how generous leader he was, that when he was going to take the ceremony as the first black president of South Africa, he told that never on the sacred place of our country, of our motherland, nobody from this day onwards, nobody will be oppressed by others. How generous, because easily he could take the revenge on the white people. Being the president, he could easily oppress, he could easily dominate the white people, but he did not think like this. He told that never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another, said Nelson Mandela in his address. These are the This is the addressing speech by Nelson Mandela in the oath-taking ceremony to be the president of South Africa. Jubilant scenes of the streets of Pretoria followed the ceremony with blacks, whites, and coloreds celebrating together. So all the people were there. Not only the black people were there, white people were there. They were all celebrating because Nelson Mandela became the president of South Africa. Not only for the people of the black race. Actually, he became the president of all the people living in South Africa. More than 1 lakh South African men, women, and children of all races sang and danced with joy, as if when Mandela achieved this success, Mandela is ready to be the president, the first black president of South Africa. Actually, these news not only amused the black people but also the white people also. They were also got amused because all the white people, they were not in the side of oppression. They also they all of them did not want to oppress, to torture the black people. So they became also they became also very happy. This is the preface, this is the introduction to this long walk to freedom that I told. I feel that this introduction class will help you to understand what we are going to read about Nelson Mandela. So in our next class, I will definitely read the text and we will explain as we usually do in classroom situation. And here also we will do it in my next class. Till then, goodbye. Stay home, stay safe.